Fantastic. Well, as we let people in through the chat, we will get things kicked off, guys. Welcome back to the Wisdom Wednesday. I know it's a Thursday, fun little time for us, but welcome to the final week of the 4-week installment of our Wisdom Wednesday series, this time on a Thursday. And for the last one, we had to switch it up and do things on a Thursday. So, however, you guys know the drill here. Each week, we're going to aim to bring you a prominent name in the lacrosse world and get an opportunity to hear parts of their story, ask them some questions, and even have them break down some film and skills to help them develop as better lacrosse players. So as a reminder, at the end for you guys, we'll give you an opportunity to ask our guests questions of your own. You can submit those questions in the chat at the bottom. But without further ado, a special night for our last night deserves a special guest. So we have from Leesburg, Virginia, a former FCA club and national team player. He played his high school ball at Riverside, where he was a 3-time All-Virginia honoree and 2-time state champion. He currently enters the 2022 season as a midfielder for the top-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Guys, we have on the call with us Mitchell Pehlke. Mitchell, thanks so much for being on the call, man. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, Kyle, thank you for that intro. That fires me up. I'm excited to be here. I still remember being in all your guys' positions back in the day, and it's truly like a full circle moment for me. So I'm excited to dive into some questions, little Q&A, and especially some X's and O's film. So thank you again, Kyle. I appreciate that intro.
Love it, man. We always love to get things started off hot with a rapid fire question right off the bat. First thoughts, how are you feeling, man, as you head into the season, as your day's going? What's the first thing that pops in your head?
I'm fired up. I mean, like I told you off camera, I just finished a little math class. Being a student athlete, you got to dial that in. First game this Saturday, we play Detroit Mercy. We always play them. We're going to play them indoors. We're getting, I think, 2 feet of snow right now. So that's going to be pretty hectic, but I'm excited for the season, my junior year. And I can't wait to get it going.
I love it, man. Nothing like February lacrosse. We'll dive straight into these questions. We appreciate everybody being on the call with us. I want to get into your history a little bit with FCA. You've had the privilege of being involved with FCA on both the regional scale and club and the national scale as well. Kind of a unique opportunity. Tell us about your experience playing with FCA and what was your favorite memory with FCA?
Yeah, so I'd say I think nothing but good things from playing with FCA. I think, it's truly an awesome experience. I've met, I think, almost half or if not all my lacrosse friends from FCA. And I think it's a true honor to play with a special organization like FCA. Like I've guest played with many other organizations, and it's not so tight knit group like FCA is. And I still remember going to the Big Four crab feast with FCA back in the day, trying to get recruited, and those memories will never leave you. My dad still talks about the travel days. I still talk about the travel days. Those type of memories will never leave you. And I don't know, I think there's so many memories to pick from back in the day, going to different tournaments in Philly and Maryland and every weekend in June and July. But I'd say one that catches my eye, we went up to Vail when I was going into 7th grade, and we ended up winning the whole thing, and blah, blah, I got the trophy and everything. But just going on that trip and just being a part of a group of guys that, were so down to earth and just great, people, that truly meant something to me. Because I think sometimes in this lacrosse world, there can be a lot of lax bros and different, mindsets within the sport, but being able to be around a group of guys that, have a great consistent walk in their faith and also are great guys on and off the field was something I was truly passionate about and loved being a part of. And going whitewater rafting or mount climbing or paintballing out in Vail is also part of the whole experience. So I think just going out to Vail when I was younger is definitely my biggest memory.
No, that's fantastic. And for a lot of these guys on the call, you got a lot of club guys, you got a lot of national guys. And I feel like that's such a cool thing to hear, that even as a college athlete, you got your mind, you got your priorities now with a million different things, but still hearing memories that those kind of things still stick with you is fantastic to hear. It's always good to hear that you had a good experience, because that's what we try to do at FCA, just provide that experience with, man. So that's awesome. Yeah. I want to get now into the detail of and just being an athlete, right? A Division I athlete at Ohio State. For athletes in general, right? As everybody here on the call is an athlete, there's this common understanding that it takes a certain mindset to be successful, right? And that mindset's often what drives us. And now you, ever since high school, right, are now heavily into college, have been able to have quite the name for yourself, whether it's athletics or having some kind of video on the internet, right? You kind of got multiple talents, and we love to see it. And my question for you is, what is that Mitchell Pelkey mindset, right? What is pushing you to be the best in whatever field that is, whether that's athletics, school, social media, all kind of platforms? It seems like you have this mindset that kind of allows you to be excellent. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kyle. It's definitely I wouldn't say stressful, but it's definitely a time-consuming industry that I'm in while playing a D1 sport, while being a student at a great university, and while creating content on the internet. Like, you're talking about three different things that take up a lot of time. So kind of my day-to-day, my calendar is really crazy, from as soon as I wake up to as soon as I go to bed. But I don't know, when you talk about the Mitchell Pelkey mindset, that was truly something that sparked in my head when you said that. And it truly came back to, I just have this obsession of this passion of lacrosse and YouTube that I like am endlessly chasing. And I think, you're always going to get my best in those two categories because I love it. Like, I truly do love it. And like, that's where it comes back from. So at the end of the day, like, I'm going to put in all these hours editing a new video. I'm going to put all these hours in playing lacrosse because it truly brings joy to me. As everyone says, like, once you start getting a paycheck from your hobby, it's a hobby, but that's totally not true for what industry I'm in. I don't know. I think the mindset just goes back to, I'm so passionate about those two things. And obviously I have to keep my grades up as that third thing for me to be able to do those two things of lacrosse and creating content. So my day-to-day definitely looks wild, and it's, always moving parts, this and that, going to different things from lacrosse to school, back to content. So I schedule it that way, and I wouldn't want it any way else. But I don't know, I think like the mindset just goes back to like, I can always look myself in the mirror and know I got this or that subject or this or that thing because I know I put in the work. And I think for me, it always goes back to, if you put in the work, you can never be worried because what you put out is already there. So I don't know, I think it's just that obsession mindset that I've grown up with, and I still have, and I don't think it's going away.
No, I love hearing that too. I think that just speaks volumes, one, about your work ethic and who you are as a person, right? We always talk about here at FCA just what it means to have and do things with excellence. And I think it's so cool to be able to have that understanding. It seems like you kind of have that same understanding as well, as whatever I'm going to do, whether that's content, whether that's lacrosse, whether that's just anything that comes over into your daily lifestyle, it's always going to be done with excellence. So it's so cool to be able to have that understanding and for you to be able to say that too as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I think it just goes back to just like, what type of legacy do you want to leave for the peers around you? That was a big one for me. It's like, person am I going to be to my friends if I go out there and don't give 100% effort every day in practice? Like, that kind of lowers my standard, or that kind of lowers my standard on their thought process of me. And like, I never want that. And I think at the end of the day, that is definitely, half of the process of why I give it 110% every single day in whatever category that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a great lesson right there, and that, and just life in general. It's whatever you're going to do, you're going to do it 110%. And oftentimes, is what we see is if you're doing things 110% in the classroom, it's really going to transfer over to the field and other aspects of your life. So, couldn't have said it better. That's awesome. Now, along those lines, though, it seems you're notorious for just having, and as you said multiple times, just an eventful lifestyle, right? Just a packed schedule, being a full-time student athlete, content creator, and just everything else in between, right? You still got to have a personal life. And so I want to dive into now the details of the day in the life of Mitchell Pehlke, right? Walk us through a little bit of your daily life from sun up to sundown. What is it like to be a Division I student athlete, having to balance school, athletics, social life, your spiritual life, and just everything in between?
Yeah, that's a good question. So straightforward. This is what it looks like every single day. So I go to bed at 10 o'clock every single night, and I wake up at 6 a.m. And I truly have to stick to those standards because our trainer says, and every doctor will say, the way to decrease injury is to get 8 hours or more of sleep. So I'm huge on getting my 8 hours of sleep. Like, that is something that like will not budge in my schedule, going to bed at 10 and waking up at 6 a.m. And as soon as I wake up at 6, I don't look at my phone yet. I go straight to my coffee machine and make a coffee, and then hop on my laptop and attack anything like YouTube brand, social media wise I can. So from about 6 to about 10, that's all content, Mitchell Pelkey, the brand work. So I'm editing, making Instagram posts, making thumbnails for YouTube videos, planning out content, anything in that realm is for the 3.5 hours for. And then I go to practice. So at 10, I go over to the facility. I get breakfast, change into our practice uniform, go into the athletic training room, go in the hot tub, get stressed out, get ready for practice. And we're practicing around 11:30. Practice, whatever that is for that day, whether it's 2-hour practice, 2 hours in a lift, 2 hours in some film, or work out and a run, whatever that is for the day. I usually wrap up and get out of there at around 3:34. And I come back home and I get some dinner, and I immediately start to attack homework from about 4:30 to 6:30. Get some dinner, hang out with the guys for a couple hours, do some more editing and Mitchell Pelkey related stuff. And then I'm back in bed. And that is literally my day for the whole week. And it doesn't change a lot. One quote my coach always told me is, the grind is lonely. And it is true. When you're grinding towards a goal, there's really not going to be a lot of people that are with you on that journey. And I think, I'm chasing something big here on the field and off the field, and there's not a lot of people that are doing this with me. So that was one thing that I really had to learn in the beginning of stages of, like, I'm putting in all these hours, and sometimes it feels lonely, but you have to look down the road of, like, whatever that is, whether it's a national championships or getting 1 million subscribers. Like, that always has to be in the forefront of your mind. And I'd say definitely in my faith life, and a big reason why I came here is, it's so relevant, especially on this team at Ohio State. We have a team Bible study every Monday night from 7 to 8. Actually, in this house has been a legendary lacrosse house that's been passed down, and do Bible study 7 to 8 on Monday. Sounds really good. And then we also have something within the Ohio State athletic department called Cross Sports, where it's just a bigger athletic Bible study with all the athletes. So we hit that Mondays and Tuesdays, and then we usually go to church on Sundays with my roommate downstairs, James Hogan. But I just say, like, without my faith life, like, none of that other stuff is going to go smoothly. And that's something, I've definitely teetered with. And, sometimes my walk and my faith life hasn't been as strong. And then you see other areas of your life start to dip. And, like, that is always the forefront. It's like, keep your grades up and keep your faith life strong. Always tell your parents you love them, and then the rest will just, like, always work out in my case. So that's kind of my day to day. I know it's super hectic. I have a Google Calendar that is literally like my second Bible. I look at it every second of the day. And that's my life. And it's not the funnest. It's definitely not the most, this guy gets to hang out with his friends a lot. Like, I definitely have had, kind of set back on my social activities, just because, if I want this thing to grow at the rate I want it to, like, I can't really hang out with my friends on the weekends that much, or hang out with them at night, or just mess around with them. Like, it's a consistent work. And I think the work-life balance is something that's truly new to me, and it's truly something I'm trying to figure out as well. But at the end of the day, I'm a kid that I'm so antsy. Like, I hate just sitting around and standing here and not doing anything. So having this lifestyle is perfect for me.
Man, wow. Just a lot to unpack, but I love it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Just the structure in there and how it allows you. I mean, so many stuff I just want to talk about there, because I think you made so many good points. But one of the things, the key things there, is that I feel like, you talk about having that walk and your journey, right? And it's kind of a lonely road. And to be successful, sometimes that's the sacrifice you make. And I think that's equates exactly to kind of what it means to be a Christian, what it means to have that faith, right? Like, you're not always going to be the coolest guy at the lunch table, or you're not always going to have this style where you're going to go with the flow kind of thing. And such a good, encouraging message for any of you guys on the call to hear that and understand that sometimes life is going to feel a little bit lonely, but I think the coolest thing to understand is you're never truly alone. And sometimes it may look like things are a little hard and tough, but sticking true to that road and sticking true to your goals is always going to equate to success. So, I mean, I love the wisdom you're speaking out here, man. It's incredible to be able to hear this, and somebody even your age, just in college, to have that kind of clarity. Truly, truly fascinating, man. I love it.
Yeah. And I'd say too, like, I'm definitely not perfect. I'm far from it. And I think, you're going back to, like, not being the coolest guy at the lunch table, like, that definitely was me at times. Like, I wanted to be that guy, but as I got older and more mature, and, more doubling down on my goals of lacrosse and content, like, you can't have your cake and eat. You can't be the man, look at this guy, and then chase your dreams at the same time. There's not enough time in the day. So I'd say, if you can adapt that mindset early, a lot of success is going to come to you earlier in your walk and in your life down the road.
No, such a good point. And I think one thing you said that is so interesting is in that time period, right, where you're and kind of a bonus question here is like in that time period where you're kind of feeling alone. I think a lot of people go through that as athletes and just as normal people and they're trying to seek ways to stay motivated. For someone like you, what is keeping you motivated as you kind of go through those ebbs and flows?
It's a hard one for me. I just think like it's my purpose on this earth to just like go. Like I said earlier, like I truly get the only time I ever get sad or like depressed is like when I'm not like chasing something. So I'm on this constant chase in my faith, in my family, to my friends, in content creation in lacrosse to just become the best version of myself. And some might say it's inevitable, like that'll never come. But I think, there's really no motivation other than like I consistently need to be making progress. And I think a quote actually it hangs right there. You guys probably can't see it. We actually had the opportunity for Eric Thomas, one of the best professional inspirational speakers in the world. He actually came to our locker room this year on September 14th, 2021. And it said, champions make different types of decisions. And after he said that in the locker room, it's truly something I stuck with. I have it on my wall. And it comes down to just like, are you a champion? If your friends are going out, what type of decision is that? The champion decision would be to stay home and study, but the other decision would be able to go out. So I think it comes back to that and having that championship mindset of like, have every decision in that championship mindset. And I kind of rambled there, but that just me making progress is definitely what it always comes back to.
No, man, I love it, man. It's not rambling when it's words of wisdom. I appreciate it. I think that's a great segue into kind of this next point. You're talking about having that championship mindset, which makes me think of the Ohio State lacrosse team, right? I want to take a moment to talk specifically about the team this season. Last season was certainly a heartbreaker, kind of an ending, not the way you guys want to necessarily go out, but definitely some incredible moments in there to talk about. And for you this season, right, stepping into a big role for you in this season, what are your thoughts, just goals, lacrosse perspective wise, as you head into the year?
Yeah, so I think going back to last year, like that was just a tough all around year, waking up at 7 a.m. to get COVID tested every single day, not being able to hang out with the guys outside of, playing the sport we love. So that was tough. Like there was really not any chemistry with the guys. Like obviously when you see your friends and your brothers on the field every single day, but not off the field, like there's kind of that void of like, oh, like this feels like a job. I just want to go get coffee or get lunch with this guy I don't live with. So that was tough. And I ultimately think that affected bigger things on the field. But this year I'm excited. It's back to normal. We got a great group of guys, even better group of freshmen coming in and just sticking with the mindset. Coach Myers here really has set in stone being a humble warrior, and treating others the way you want to be treated. And I'm just excited to go into this season with the guys. And obviously the goal for us is Big Ten championship, national championship. And I don't think anyone else is going to fight me on that. But I'm just excited to get after. Like I said, we have our first game this Saturday and it's the first go of the 2022 season. And I cannot wait.
Man, that's so exciting to hear. We'll definitely be looking out for you guys. And for those of you guys on the call too, be on the lookout for Mitchell Pehlke and the Ohio State Buckeyes as they take on the Big Ten Conference and looking for a national champion as well, man. We're excited. We'll keep an eye on you as well.
Yeah.
I want to go back to a little bit of you. And I know, first, you kind of said your coach and the quote you said was fantastic. I don't know if that's the one that kind of sticks with you, but I know FCA has a great kind of relationship with Coach Myers. I know he's big on just the culture and hammering down the process. And I didn't know if that was one thing that stuck out with you, but what is something that your coach has kind of instilled in you that's always going to stick with you?
Yeah. So actually the huge quote I have ever remembered, I said it like the first week I was here and stuck with me ever since, is you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's my one word for this year. It's in my locker. I look at it every single day. It's uncomfortable. And I truly believe like it's a place you want to live. And I've truly got uncomfortable here at Ohio State on the lacrosse field with my teammates and coach a bunch. And I feel like I've learned here. I've learned so much in these 3 years that I've been here because of that reason. Coach is a hard coach. And I think I wouldn't want it any other way. I think he puts us in these roles to figure out what to do. So we get uncomfortable. So we learn on our own. He always tells us, you come in as a boy, you leave as a Buckeye, you leave as a man. And I truly love that. And I wouldn't want it any other way while playing college lacrosse. Because at the end of the day, he's not a coach coming in here rifling guys in and out to win national championships. He's coming in here to bring in boys and leave us Buckeyes. And that truly means a lot to me. And I know it does to my family back home. And, you know, Coach Nick Myers is a guy I truly look up to in every asset of life. You know, he comes in the locker room, he talks to us about his family, his struggles, you know, what he's doing good, what he's doing bad. And like, just to see a guy in his 40s, you know, a guy that we all look up to do that, like, that's truly something like super special. And in the first kind of role model or older guy in my life that has done that. Like, I don't think my dad really did that much. And I look at Coach Myers, I'm like, wow, like, that's really cool. And I think just going back to that quote, you got to get comfortable getting uncomfortable. And I love that. It's something I always stick with me.
No, man, that's fantastic. And I think just, I mean, you hear it right in the name, right? The Ohio State Buckeyes, right? It has just a huge standard, right? That has a name for itself. And I know just any kind of culture, any kind of team, when guys buy into the culture, you just see it goes tenfold for the season. And I think when you have that respect for your team and the name that you have on your jersey, it shows in so many different ways, exactly what you're talking about. But I know, speaking of names, right? You know, when you hear the name Mitchell Pelkey, a million things are going to come to mind, and people, especially in lacrosse world, know the name, which I think is just incredible, right? To be able to kind of say who you are and say the name you have for yourself. But I think the more amazing thing is, and the thing that I always kind of thought about you is that doesn't come easy, right? That's not something that just happens overnight. And I'm sure that you really never see the hard work, or the journey wasn't really there or wasn't easy for you, right? But you never really see that. And I want to know from your perspective, right? What does it take to get to the point you're at now? And how do you just maintain working hard and keeping the faith through all of that hard work?
Yeah. So I'd say to the point I'm at now, you know, especially playing, you know, at the top level of lacrosse that I can be possibly playing right now, it just comes back to like what I've told myself and what I told you guys earlier in this call is just a hard work. Like I know I can rest myself on the work I've put in. And that's truly something that comes with, you know, me. Like, I'm just a worker. Like, I just love to put in the work. I love to get shots up. I love to hit the wall. And I knew growing up, okay, putting these shots, putting this amount of work a week, and it's all going to pay off. And that just goes back to having that future goal in kind of the front of your eyes and like never looking past it. You know, I still remember growing up, like going to the turf field, shoveling it off to get some shots up during the winter, or going to my high school, like trying to hop the fence to go hit the wall on the side of the school. And just like little things like that, I was so eager to get better at the sport because I always knew, like, in life, somebody's always chasing you. There's always somebody out there trying to get better than you. And I never wanted that to happen. So just consistently like playing lacrosse with my friends, and then whether that's with them or without them, I just always knew I could rest my vowels on that, because I knew in the back of my mind, like, those type of things would get me to playing D1 lacrosse. And I think, you know, content creation side, it's the same thing. Like, if I'm not on the lacrosse field and I'm not in class, I'm sitting at this desk the whole entire day. And it goes back to just putting the work, like all the work goes into my laptop, editing, creating content, and figuring out what would be a good video for you guys. And it just goes back to just like, you got to put in the work if you want to see some results.
No, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better, man. I feel like I could talk to Mitchell all night, but I know you guys are here for multiple reasons to be able to see him. So we want to hop into our next segment of having Mitchell break down some X's and O's and show him some of the highlights and just talk through his mindset. So Mitchell, I'll let you share your screen and take it away, my man.
Yeah, so we'll hop right into it. Let me know if you can see that. Ooh, one sec. There we go. I can't see any of you guys' faces, but can you see that all right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, sweet. So we're coming back. This is actually last season. We're playing the team up north, and our coach put our midi line in kind of this invert offense. So I actually played attack in high school, and he has me at midi, and he knows the invert offense for Mitchell Pehlke is key. He knows I'm really good at dodging behind. So we're in this invert offense. And I'll kind of slow it down for you. So we kind of have these two guys. Right here. These are kind of our dive and loft guys. This is kind of how our offense is set up. One guy here mirroring me, and then these dive and loft guys that are going to, you know, pull down or pull up depending on which way I go. So I know this defender is playing me hips to hips. And as I'm going at him, he's backpedaling. And these dive and loft guys, again, are just staying there waiting on my decision. So I know going here, this is kind of my go-to move, a right to left split. And I think in the scout, he obviously knew I was more right-handed. That's why I think he jumped a little bit when I did the split immediately. So kind of coming at, obviously out of the right to left split, dodging towards the goal because you got to be a shooter before you're a passer. And as I continue to go up, my head is upfield, and I can tell that this defender right here is not even looking. So I knew the slide would be long between these two guys. So that honestly allowed me to just dive in front of the goal and come away with the score, because I knew that this slide was going to be too long, and this guy obviously can't even see me, and I truly think this guy wasn't going to go because he's backside. So coming along here and then just diving across, obviously not getting inside the crease and putting a pointer up on the board for the guys. But I think it's key, though. One of the biggest things and things you might not see in this film is after that split, right to left, bam, coming up field. It's hard to see because the camera quality is not that good. But my eyes are upfield the entire time, and that allows me to see this defender. He's obviously not looking at me, so I get the green light to go ahead and finish above the crease and get fired up here. Coming down to another game. This is against Rutgers. This is a little assist. So kind of the same situation. We're back in kind of that invert offense. Like I said, coach loves me behind the goal. I was dodging long pulls my whole life playing X attack. And now that I have the opportunity to have a shorty behind there, I'm kind of licking my chops a little bit. So we're coming around. I can see my other attackman or my other midfielder has a shorty as well. So at the same time, he has the opportunity to set me a pick or to dodge myself, because you never want to bring a long pull to the party, as my coach says. If you have a shorty and shorty, you can either dodge yourself or dodge a pick, but you never want to bring a pull to the party. So as I'm going here, I kind of size him up. And this is what we call rebounds here at Ohio State, a re-square. So I stick that right foot in the ground, bam, re-square, size him up, make him shuffle his feet, and then I kind of go on him. I give him a little shake and bake, a little left to right, and then I see him over retreating. So this is when I pull back and would go swim move to go over. So he's done. So re-square, left to right, see him over retreating, swim, coming back the other side. Again, head is up. This is the most important part. The head is up, looking inside the crease, because at the end of the day, my defender is behind me. There's definitely going to be a slide coming. So head up as I turn and keep going. I see him coming, so I hit the brakes and come back. Bam. So now I've drawn a double. We call this a 21 here at Ohio State. You just drew a 21, and we're going back to the other side because you don't want to go straight into two. We're flipping the other side, and as I'm turning my head and going around the crease, you can tell my eyes are continuously looking in the middle of the field, and I see one of my teammates, Jack Myers, cutting the crease. I see him, and then he shoots it and scores, and that was it. But again, a key, after I see the double coming, bang, flip my hips, and my neck is turned right there, already looking, because I knew cutters are happening, and there he is, found him, just like that. I'm kind of keep going here. Just a little slow-mo of that. Kind of see backside, flip the head, see Jack cutting, and then that's it. Here's another assist. Something similar here. Again, in that invert option, sees me come down. And this, I truly think this wasn't that good of a play on my side, but I think from keeping my head up and seeing how the defense reacted in not so good of a way, you could tell that they were kind of puzzled. So as I go, I don't really beat my man in a couple stutter steps, but 14 decides to go. And was it the right play? I truly don't think so, because I don't have this guy beat. But since I have my head up, I can see that, and then I see where the open man came from, and I hit it to him and score. So I think the big part, and especially you'll see a lot of these videos, a lot of these clips for me inverting, the key is out of that dodge, out of that split, out of that COD, like keeping your head high. Because at the end of the day, behind the cage, you're a passer before shooter. You can't shoot behind the cage. So you got to remember that in the back of your mind. So like I said, going back, keeping my head high, don't beat this guy, but the defender starts to come, no worries. I'll find where he came from, give it to Trey, and he puts it in the back of the net. And this is kind of something similar as well. So I'm actually right here, and this is my other midfielder line mate dodging a shorty. So as he comes around, and again, I'm here. So he comes around, they slide. He hesitates. Oh, sorry, my bad. So he hesitates. They slide. Nothing there. He throws it back up. Keep an eye on me now. So my midfielder, Grant, acts like he's going to shoot it, and then I cut the back pipe and catch it. And I think the one thing to take away here is kind of hard to see. The quality is not that good. Is I catch it and I put my stick out wide right because I know he's coming down with that firm slap check. And so with that being said, he's going to slap. My stick's not going to be there. Once I get through that stick, I bring the stick back around and shoot low and away and get fired up with the guys. And I think, that's truly something, especially like it happens in high school and it will happen in lacrosse too. Like defenders will always get caught ball watching. And I think the more you can move around, the more you can be a bog like I am here, the more you'll catch the defender kind of off guard. And that happens. And we put one in the back of the net. And this is kind of something similar as well. So I'm in that invert option again. Kind of a wacky dodge. I go right to right and keep going. And I think this is what we call the moment of truth at Ohio State. I have a little bit of a step on them. And the right thing to do is bear down to the net because you already have a step on him. There's no way of putting another move on him because you already have him beat. So our coach calls it a moment of truth here. And so I have him beat. And I just keep on pulling that left shoulder down. And I see him off my left shoulder trying to swing to my right. And I bring it back forward. And then as soon as I feel that hit on my right shoulder, as soon as I felt it, bam, I bring a stick right back and then follow through right forward. I think it's just little things like definitely these are type of things you won't realize as a young player, but as you continue to grow up and play lacrosse, consistently, like just these little feelings of like, oh, I have a step on it, keep going. Oh, his stick moves, hit the right shoulder, can bring it back and then go. And I think, at the end of the day, like, especially at the college level, you can't be afraid to hit the middle. Like that guy's coming full speed ahead, trying to lay me out. But, you got to be a man. Our coach always says all the time, Buckeyes don't get hurt. And like in a situation like that, you got to take it. So here's something again. I have two angles of this so we can see this one again. So again, I'm in that invert set. Again, on the scout, he probably sees that I'm a righty. That's why in the beginning, he's kind of shading towards my left. So I let him go. So as you can see, the attackman clears out because he doesn't have a defender. If he's just standing there while I come, it's kind of pointless. So here he clears out and I come, and then we do the re-square. We do the rebounds again, the re-square and rebounds. So as I'm going, I know he's on my back foot. To rebounds, it kind of makes him set his feet like I'm about to dodge again. So rebounds, and then I go under because I know his stick is right at my chest level. So I swoop under like I'm doing a low crossover in basketball. Jules Henningberg did this really well at Rutgers. He got really low with the stick, and so does Michael Sowers, I think, last year. And still watching his PLL highlights, like he gets that stick so low to the ground that the defender can't ever get there with his stick at your chest. So we do. Rebounds, free square, comes super low. And now it heads up again. So already see that slide coming. Bam, hit the brakes. Obviously, you got to turn back. Head is up again. And then you just got to look inside. And I see a guy open in the loft position. Trey hits it and goes. And there's another look right here we can look at, which is kind of easier. So I'm going. Same play, obviously. A little hesitate to kind of get him off his mark. Rebounds. Bring that stick super low right there. As you can tell, the width between his stick and my stick is super low. I get back up, head up. I see the defender come and turn back. Head is already up right there. That's the key. Head has got to be up as soon as you hit the COD. I'm looking at the crease, who's open, who's not. I find Trey, and he hammers it home. And here's my last one here, an assist against Maryland last year. So we're kind of winding down. We kind of had a couple possessions, a couple different variations throughout the possession. We got 30 seconds left, or I think, 30 seconds left in the shot clock, and I'm right here. That's where I am. So I'm dodging out of the right elbow. So I'm going, put a little shake and bake on him. The key was to go behind the cage. That was kind of like we call it dummy dodge. There was nothing really supposed to happen there, just to kind of get him off his rocker. Okay, so then we are again in the invert option. I have a shorty. Like I said, I played attack, so I'm licking my chops again. Okay, this should be even easier than high school days. So I'm going. We kind of do a little hezzy there. This is different than the rebounds. It kind of a little hezzy, and if you keep an eye on his feet, he kind of stutters as well and almost hits the cage. So then I come back. I see over pursuits, so I switch it back to my left and come back. And then I hit this long step, and this is something I do a lot because I'm a righty. I hit this long step to try to get him to come over the net and fall, because I know as soon as I take that long step, he's going to take that step over the crease, but he didn't. If you take a look at his right foot, bam, it's on this side of the net. That's why I kind of hesitate. And then I come back and then I keep all my eyes upfield. So I know at this point he's kind of off. His feet are kind of just bobbleated, and I have a step on him right now. And if I keep pushing, I know 7's going to come. So that's exactly what I did. Didn't get his feet there, come back. I have a step on him, keep coming up that hash. I see him coming, feet right inside. An absolute great finish by our captain this year, Jackson Reed, Canadian. I think those Canadians do it super well of just kind of hitting the stick, bam, in and out. And that's kind of all the plays. Obviously, here at Ohio State, we do this thing where whoever passes you the ball, you better be pointing at him and celebrating with him first. So awesome experience. But those are kind of all the clips I had. If you guys have any questions, would love to answer those.
Man, fantastic. Just an absolute great dissection of film there. Appreciate it. Love the explanation. One thing that's also really cool is you see a lot of these guys where they're sharing film or they're sharing highlights, just goal after goal after goal. Love seeing the assists, right? It's one of the biggest parts of the game. It's great for other people to see and understand how important that is. And a lot of these guys too, for anybody looking to aspire to play in a college, guys, that's going to be a lot of times you're ticking on the field. If you're a great feeder, it's a huge asset to be on the field. So fantastic examples shown there by Mitchell as he's seeing it and just keeping your head up, man. Fantastic.
Yeah. I'd say too, like our coach says he's a big Pats fan. So I think he got it from the Patriots, but he always says, know your role. And I truthfully know, like, I'm one of the best, break my ankles, beat my guy and draw a double guy on the team. Like I know that I can take that to the grave to me. So in that case, if I always going to break my guy and draw a double, my percentage to giving the assist to giving the shot is way different, So in my eyes, I'm more looked at as an assist guy because, I can give my defender that shake and bake, draw a double, pull that guy, and then throw the open man. So I think at the end of the day, it truly doesn't matter about goals and assists. And it matters like how you get those. And a big thing here is, drawing doubles. And I truly, pride myself on that. And I think, by me drawing the double, passing it, him dodging, passing it, goal, like it all started kind of with that double. So at the end of the day, like, people might look at the stat sheet and be like, oh, he didn't score or he didn't have an assist. But like truly, when you look at the film, like that's the type of stuff that matters. And especially when you come to this level of lacrosse.
Man, it's exactly what you're talking about. Taking the lonely road, right? That's fantastic. We're going to get into the section now for you guys to kind of ask Mitchell some questions. So while you guys kind of fill the chat, we had some questions sent in as well. First one, just kind of rapid fire. Go to pregame meal. What are you shoving down the gullet?
Yeah, it's a good question. Who asked that?
These are questions just sent in for some of our guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in high school, we always had Potbelly. It was just like we always had Potbelly. It was so weird. I got ham, turkey, and American cheese on it every single day. I don't know why. Barbecue chips. It's just like what our school provided. And then here at Ohio State, we have we go to this place called the Faculty Center where we get breakfasts before games, and they have the best breakfast potatoes and sausage. It's like one of the best breakfasts I've ever had. And like, thankfully we have it before every game. So that has to go pregame meal for me. It gets me juiced up.
Love it. What schools did you have offers from and why'd you choose Ohio State?
Yeah, so this is a good question. I get this one a ton. So the schools had offers from were Ohio State, UVA, and Hopkins. And I visited all those schools. My dad actually played at UVA back in the day. And I visited all those schools and I visited Ohio State last, and Ohio State was truly providing like everything I wanted in a school. I always wanted to go to a big school that had kind of that college aspect to it, like the big football, the big social life, that big school spirit, the big alumni base. Like I always truly wanted that. And I think, Hopkins didn't really have that. So that kind of shied me away from them. And UVA, my brother went there, my dad went there. I really didn't want to follow in those footsteps of being like a Cavalier. I truly didn't. And then Ohio State, and after meeting Coach Nick Myers and realizing like what this program's all about, realizing what he teaches, his players was truly something that was so special to me. Like I said earlier, like he's not bringing guys in just to win national championships and like not caring about you. Like we have 50 guys on the team. He cares about like every 50 guy on the team. Like we had coffee Monday morning, went to Dunkin', just had like a good hour and 15 conversation about life. Like those are the type of moments like you're never going to forget, coming here. And I truly feel, Ohio State at the end of the day had everything I was looking for in a school. I mean, obviously not even talking about the academics is truly something I'm proud of. And the alumni base, the amount of alumni I've talked to, not even graduating here yet, is crazy. So it's school. Like I still wake up every day. I'm like, wow, like, dude, I love this place. Like, I'm so thankful I'm here.
That's awesome. Going back to the film a little bit, this question asked from a defender's perspective, what is a good thing? What do defenders do to annoy you?
Yeah. So this is a good question, actually. So I'm this big personality, right? I think on and off the camera, like I'm this huge personality, especially on the camera when I'm around my guys. Like I just got done cooking dinner. We're all loud, banging pots and pans, and that's just the personality I am. So I'd say like on the lacrosse field, like I'm not that. Like I'm a leader to my line, and I'm helping people out on the field, but I don't hoot and holler. I don't trash talk. Like I don't do any of that. And that's something that surprises people a lot because they see this like other side of me, but like on the field, like I'm not a big talker. Because I'm so focused. I'm a silent killer. That's what I call myself on the field. So I'd say like the biggest things that like kind of tick me off is just like when defenders do like little things like, trash talk or like jab me, like, when I don't have the ball, just like little things like that. And I think that kind of comes with like kind of the followers and different things. Like I had this target on my back from like, oh, this guy makes YouTube videos, this and that. But at the end of the day, it's just like little cheap shots like that, kind of get to me sometimes. But I'd say like in the lacrosse, actual play, I think it's just any sort of like, obviously you have your glove here and then your elbow pad here. Anything inside there is the worst feeling ever. I got one last scrimmage. I got a nice hack on my wrist going for a ground ball. And it's something that, that it's inevitable in lacrosse. Like it's going to happen, but that's just like the worst little bruise.
Super Bowl question, Bengals or Rams?
Bengals. Obviously being here in Ohio, I mean, a couple of roommates are Cincy guys themselves, so I got to cheer them on. Obviously with the Browns not really pulling any weight, but a Bengals guy for sure. I think Joe Burrow obviously being an alumni here as well, which is pretty cool. They have a lot of Ohio State guys, so it'll be exciting to see what happens.
Heck yeah. Favorite go-to movie?
Step Brothers, classic. Definitely recommend that when you're older in life, but it's definitely the funniest movie. I'll take a lot of one-liners from that movie for sure.
Equipment question. Talk to us about your helmet and then what kind of stick and shaft you use.
Yeah, so right now I'm using the STX helmet. We actually have, I have them all over there actually. We have the silver, the chrome, and the black. We use the STX helmet. I actually love the helmet. Obviously being an STX athlete myself, we were actually down there. Yeah, the rival. We were down there at STX HQ this past winter break doing a photo shoot and different types of things. And they might be coming out with a new helmet here soon, so stay tuned. I'm really excited for that. I've seen it. It fits super comfortable. So excited for that. But head I use right now, obviously being an STX athlete, the best company in the world, I use the STX Stallion 700 is my go-to head. Memory mesh, this and that. I have one of my Canadians on my team string it. I also use the STX Sci-Tie O. And I can, I don't have my stick here. I just took it home yesterday morning, but STX Sci-Tie O, I tape it up about 80% away, 80% up the shaft, and then loop that off with some red electrical tape. And then that's it. That's kind of my go-to stick.
Fantastic. I love this question. Talking about just creating content, right? Having to constantly be creative is not an easy thing. On days it's hard to stay motivated, how do you stay consistent with just getting content out and staying energetic?
Yeah, this is definitely a tough one. Like, I think the social media world portrays that like this guy never stops, or like this guy like always has energy. Like, how does he do it? And it's to be truthful, like, some days like I'm having a bad day, like had a bad day of practice, or like thought I studied for exam but ended up not getting a good grade, and like that's life. Like those days are gonna happen. I think it's just like, how do you pivot and like what's next? Like if I ever make a bad play on the field, I always say these are my two things. It's kind of funny we're talking about this. I always say trust God and what's next. And I know like at the end of the day, like those two things are going to help me out, because there's no point of dwelling on the past. Obviously having that trust in the Lord and then thinking about what's to come is definitely, the best thing to happen. So yeah.
What's your favorite PLL team?
I'd say the Whip Snakes, because one of my best friends, Danny Moltz, I see you, Kate. One of my best friends, Danny Moltz, his brother Dylan played on the Whip Snakes like their first year they had a league. So we were cheering him on. So that's kind of my connection to the Whip Snakes.
That's awesome. This one asked you if you a bunch of questions here. You're speaking of friends, your favorite friend on the team.
On the Ohio State team?
Yeah.
I'd have to go with my roommate, James Hogan, you know, a guy that is consistently leveling me up in my faith, and a guy that's consistently like leveling me up in a lot of aspects. You know, a guy that gets great grades, a guy that is consistently, and my favorite part about him is just a positive dude. There's nothing better than hanging out with a positive guy because it levels you up. And then a guy that just like always makes me laugh and is never going to be like, yo, like you're taking this too seriously. He's always going to kind of check me, as I say. So I'd say, you know, one of my favorite guys on the team, one of my best friends, James Hogan.
What was your favorite YouTube, TikTok video you ever created?
Ooh, I'd say it can't be like a video. I'd say my senior year of high school, I did this series called The Ride. And each episode was each game day. So if I had a game on a certain day, I'd film me waking up, go to school, come back, film the game, and then that would be each episode. So we had 20 games. It's called The Ride series. It's one of my favorite things and one of the most things I've been proud of myself on my YouTube channel. And it goes 20 episodes, 20 games. We end up winning the state championship. It's a true moment I'll never, you know, forget and always look back on. But I'd say like The Ride series is something I love.
If you weren't playing lacrosse, what sport would you be playing?
Oof. I don't know, actually. This is tough. I think like I loved playing golf growing up, and I think I'm kind of growing out of it, to be honest. Like I'm losing, I'm so antsy, like I just can't stand it. It's such a long sport. I think it would be basketball. Like I just love like college hoops and like the culture behind basketball and like the swag. You see the guys walking out of the bus and just taking pictures. Like I love that aspect of the culture behind it. And then obviously just like playing, like I was a huge basketball guy, but stopped playing my freshman year to focus on lacrosse. And like that's honestly a regret of mine. Like I wish I still played. But I think basketball.
I like this question for some of our younger guys. They've asked, if you ever gone through your life being bullied, or if you were ever bullied, how did you get through it?
It's a good question. I think as I continue to grow in this social media space, like haters and hate comments, you know, are going to build because that's just organic. That's the way it goes. And I think, you know, that's something I definitely struggled with at first. Like, you know, you care about the content you create. Every creator does. It's like your baby, you know, same reason if you were on the lacrosse field and you played great and somebody trashed you, like you're so passionate about that. And what truly humbles me and helps me out is like getting it off my chest is something like I talk to my mom and dad about like everything and like tell them about like this or that comment that like I didn't really like, or or just telling them the truth. And like the more you internalize it, the worse. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I wish I developed an open relationship to talk to my parents about my feelings earlier in my life, because it really didn't start until like, you know, a year or two ago. So I'd say just get it off your chest, talk to some people you truly love and care about. And that helps like half the problem. And just always remembering like you pray for the person that wrote that hate comment, because you know in the back of their mind that you know they're going through something worse in their life for them to, you know, spread hate to the world, you know. And sometimes I'm just like I'm going to pray for that guy because I feel like he might need it. So that's kind of what I always go back to.
Man, I love it. This question, who actually won the chicken nuggets challenge?
I love that. So that's so funny. So I obviously you probably saw the video. One team ended up with like 92 nuggets, and my team with my two other roommates, we had like 60 nuggets. And obviously like the goal was for us to finish, but we couldn't finish. Like I had 40 nuggets and I was like, I cannot eat one more, I might throw up. So we ended up having 30 more nuggets for them. So we kind of just declared ourselves the champs. So they ended up doing that kind of thirst trap, cringy TikTok dance. But it was a good video, like that'll go down in the books of being just like a funny challenge with the roommates, but we ended up winning for sure.
I love it. I know we've got a ton of questions still coming in, guys. We'll make sure we get those to Mitchell, but definitely want to be respectful of his time. Super appreciative of him just taking the time out of his schedule to be on the call with us. Make sure you guys give him a thank you in the chat. Last question here, and then we'll let you go. Just one last piece of advice for anybody watching you, for anybody who knows your story or kind of following you. What piece of advice would you give to any player?
I'd say, ooh, this is a good one. I just say like, this is one I always go back to and one I struggled with as a young buck, but like your thoughts matter. And at the end of the day, you're going to have friends and people you might not like, or family try to, bring you in different directions in life, whether that's playing lacrosse or not playing lacrosse or doing this or doing that in life. But at the end of the day, you know what's right for you. Always believe in yourself and believe in your thoughts and whatever you're thinking at the time, like go that route. Like, you best. And I think that's something that I struggled with as a kid. Like I would always ask people for advice and then I'd be like, well, he just told me to do that, so I'm going to do it. But at the end of the day, like that might not be right. So at the end of the day, like truly believe in yourself, believe in, the thought process that you have and attack that. Cause at the end of the day, like, you best. And that's all that matters. So I'd say like kind of long-winded, but like, just, believe in yourself and trust yourself and everything will work out.
Man, that's fantastic. Well, we're going to get things rolled up here, Mitchell. We'd love to kind of pray for you as a pray us out. And just, again, thank you so much. Dear Heavenly Father, just appreciate this time with Mitchell. Lord, we just pray over him this season. Ask that he just has just a great and just amazing experience, that just consistent, pure joy is just poured into him throughout his time in Ohio State. And that he just enjoys his time there, both on and off the field. Just pray for safety and that he is just able to continue doing what he does best, Lord, and just continuing to pursue. And even though the road gets lonely sometimes, just to have that motivation and that consistency to be able to keep pushing forward towards you. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen.
Man,
Mitchell, thank you so much, my man. We appreciate it, guys. All the thank yous. I love all the questions. We will catch up with you later sometime soon, my man. Appreciate it.
Kyle, I appreciate it. Everyone on here, I really appreciate you guys hopping on. If you guys have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me. And I just want to say thank you again, Kyle.
Absolutely, guys. Be sure to follow Mitchell this season in the Ohio State Buckeyes. They're competing for a Big Ten tournament championship and a national championship. Always give Mitchell a good follow on all social media platforms. The guy's killing it. We appreciate you, my man. Peace out.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. See you guys.